So, you're delivering world-class aesthetic results, but your marketing just isn't bringing in the patients you really deserve. If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're about to break down a psychological framework that can take your messaging from being just seen to being truly felt, and most importantly, acted upon. Let's dive in. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about something that's probably incredibly frustrating for you. You're an expert, a true artist in your field. You've poured everything into the best training, the best technology, and you deliver, frankly, incredible results. So why does it feel like you're shouting into the wind sometimes? You know, everything is perfect, the clinic is beautiful, your skills are sharp, but the schedule just isn't as full as it should be. The problem isn't your skill, it's the disconnect in your message. And here is the science behind that disconnect. It's a staggering number. Research from Harvard suggests that 95% of our purchasing decisions are made in our subconscious mind. They're driven by deep-seated emotions, not logic. And let's be honest, in a field as personal as aesthetic medicine, that number is probably even higher. So what this all boils down to is one simple truth. Your patients feel first, and they think second. They're being moved by these incredibly powerful emotions, right? The fear of getting older, the deep desire for confidence, the frustration that nothing has worked before, and the hope that you have the real solution. Your marketing has to connect with these feelings long before it ever mentions a single technical detail about a laser or a procedure. So, how do you do that? How do you stop guessing what your patients feel and start systematically targeting those emotions? Well, you need a map. And that's exactly what we have here, a science-backed solution to guide you. It's called the emotion map, and it's basically your blueprint for understanding the patient's mind. This isn't about marketing fluff or guesswork. It's a repeatable system developed by behavioral scientists for creating marketing that actually resonates with people on a deep emotional level. Okay, so let's unfold this map together. We're going to walk through the 4 core emotional quadrants that are driving every single potential patient that comes across your practice. The very first quadrant is rooted in one of the most powerful human motivators there is, the fear of loss. This is what we call the insecure patient mindset. This patient is wired for what psychologists call loss aversion. It's a simple idea. The pain of losing something feels about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something. So your goal here isn't to scare them, but to create a real sense of urgency by showing them the consequences of waiting. Your tone has to be direct and really zeroed in on the problem. And here's that principle in action. This headline is just brilliant. Why? Because it doesn't just talk about wrinkles. It quantifies the loss in money and in results. It completely reframes waiting from a passive choice to an active, costly mistake. And that's how you create powerful, ethical urgency. All right, let's totally switch gears and move to the next quadrant. We're shifting from that fear of loss to the exciting desire for gain. Welcome to the optimistic mindset. These patients are the dreamers. They're already excited about what's possible. They're ready to invest in becoming that ideal version of themselves. Your job is to be the visionary for them. You have to paint this incredibly compelling, vivid picture of the transformation that's waiting for them. The tone here is all about aspiration and boosting their confidence. This is exactly how you do it. This copy isn't selling a procedure, is it? It's selling an outcome. It's selling a feeling. It completely bypasses logic and talks right to that universal desire we all have for just authentic confidence. You're not selling the tool, you're selling the masterpiece they can become. But what about the patients who've been burned before, the ones who are skeptical of everything? Well, that brings us to our third quadrant, the pessimistic patient. You know these people. They've tried other treatments, they spent the money, and they've been let down. They honestly believe that nothing will work for me. So your goal isn't to make big, flashy promises. It's to gently prove to them that, yes, change is possible for them too. And you do that with overwhelming proof. The tone has to be understanding, empathetic, and just loaded with evidence. This example is just perfect. It starts by validating her skepticism. I tried everything. That instantly builds trust. It says, we hear you. Then it pivots to this very specific, compelling success story. It overcomes her doubt not with a claim, but with a real-life case study. That's powerful. And that brings us to our final quadrant. This is for the patient who's interested, but they're cautious. They're on the fence. They're in the secure mindset. This patient's biggest fear is making a mistake, choosing the wrong doctor, the wrong procedure, or just wasting their hard-earned money. They need reassurance, big time. Your marketing goal is to just systematically minimize every single risk they can imagine. You do this by showcasing your expertise, your credentials, and your safety protocols with a really professional and reassuring tone. Now, that is a powerful statement. A guarantee like this is what we call a risk reversal. It completely takes the financial and emotional risk off the patient's shoulders and puts it on yours. It's a sign of ultimate confidence in your own work, which is exactly what this patient needs to feel safe enough to say yes. Okay, so understanding the 4 quadrants is the foundation, but the real mastery, that comes from knowing how to sequence them. Let's look at how you can combine these emotional triggers to guide a patient all the way from just being curious to being fully committed. Look at how beautifully this campaign flows through the emotions. You start with an insecure subject line that grabs attention and creates that urgency. Then you pivot to an optimistic vision of what's possible. You immediately counter any doubt with pessimistic focused proof, a real story. And finally, you give them a secure, totally low-risk way to take the next step. This is an absolute masterclass in emotional marketing. And as you start using this, just keep an eye out for these common traps. Don't lean too heavily on fear. You always have to balance that urgency with hope. Ditch the generic promises like look younger. Get specific with believable outcomes. And this is a big one. Match the emotion to where they are in their journey. A high urgency message is great for someone who knows they have a problem, but it's probably going to scare off a brand new visitor to your website. Okay, we've gone through the theory, we've seen it in practice. Now let's pull it all together into a clear, actionable blueprint that you can literally start using today. Here are your 5 steps. It's that simple. First, audit. Look at your current marketing. Which emotion are you hitting, probably without even realizing it? Second, identify. Think about your absolute best patients. What was their dominant emotion when they came to you? Third, create. Make one new piece of marketing for each of the 4 quadrants, an email, a social post, whatever. Fourth, test. Put them out there and see what people actually respond to. And finally, number 5, scale. When you find a winner, double down on it. This is how you build a marketing system that works predictably. So the only question left is, where are you going to start? Are you going to create urgency for the insecure, paint a vision for the optimistic, build trust with the pessimistic, or offer that feeling of safety to the secure? The choice is yours. Now go make it happen.